Imagine jolting awake in complete and total darkness. There's nowhere to move as your hands brush against plush interior lining. You slowly realize that this is the inside of a casket. You're buried alive and nobody can hear your screams. Now it's time to try and get out alive. The first thing you want to do in this situation is try to stay calm. You only have an hour or two of oxygen left at most, so screaming, crying, and otherwise thrashing around in a panic is not a good use of your limited energy or time. You also don't want to strike a match or use a lighter, as this will take up more precious oxygen. Hopefully you have been buried with a cell phone that gets good reception. In some countries, it's customary to bury people with their cell phones just for this very purpose, though this is much less common in America. If you do have a cell phone, keep the conversation as short as possible to save oxygen, then hang up and wait to be rescued. If you know how to meditate, then use your training to breathe as slowly as possible. By the way, I feel like this is a good time to add that the expression "saved by the bell" doesn't have anything to do with school. A long time ago, people were buried with bells that they could ring in case they ever woke up in an underground casket. And yes, sometimes they would really have to use it. Anyway, if you don't have a cell phone, or if nobody answers, then it's up to you to bust yourself out. Hopefully you were buried in a cheap pine box casket, because it's impossible to do what I'm about to tell you with nicer metal or hardwood designs. You need to literally kick a hole through the top of the casket. But there's just one problem. All of the dirt is going to come rushing into the casket as soon as you make the hole, so you need to take some extra steps to prepare for that. First, take off your shirt. This is a lot harder than it sounds because you are lying down with very little room to work with. You have to bring your hands to your shoulders in a very specific way and pull the shirt over your head. Doing this slowly and carefully. Every time you mess up, it will waste more time in air. The next step is kind of difficult to do in the dark, but you have to do it quickly if you want to survive. Take the bottom of the shirt and tie both ends into tight knots. Then pull your head through the neck hole. If you did this right, then you'll be wearing your shirt over your head kind of like a bag. And you'll be able to breathe through the cloth once the dirt comes rushing in. Okay, so now you're ready for your escape. Think about how bad you want to live and see your family again, and then start kicking the middle of the casket lid as hard as you can. The center of the lid has the most weight on it, and it's the most likely section to give way, so aim there. Whatever you do, don't stop kicking, no matter how overheated or tired you become. Even if you feel like you're about to lose consciousness, keep going until you actually either break through or black out. If after a while it becomes obvious that you aren't going to get out by kicking the lid, then take a belt buckle or a pen or whatever else you have and start tapping on the casket loudly. Now is probably the time to start screaming too. Hopefully a groundskeeper or a mourning family will hear you and get help. Otherwise, you've been buried forever. I have faith that you'll be able to kick through though. You're probably so full of adrenaline at this point that your foot goes through the casket lid with more ease than you thought it would. Now dirt is furiously pouring in like a time glass, but you have to control where it goes. Use your hands to shovel the dirt towards your feet, fill up the space around your feet, then start pushing the dirt to your sides. Once the casket becomes about 3/4 full, you need to sit up. You'll find that all of the dirt actually makes it easier to move around and sit up than it was before. Use your hands to keep pushing more dirt around as you sit up. While you are doing this, you need to try to position your head directly under the hole you just made. Once the casket is almost all the way full, try to stand up through the hole with your arms straight up. If you can't get through the hole in time, then you are a goner. Once you stand up, you'll probably find that the earth is loose, and it's easy to claw your way to the top. If you are especially tall, then this point will be easy. However, if there is any rain, then the wet earth will be almost impossible to dig through, no matter how tall or strong you are. If there's a lot of clay, then you won't make it very far either. So this final step really depends on the weather and the soil. You're too close to give up now, so keep going until you finally emerge from your crypt and breathe the cold night air. Now let's talk about being buried alive in an avalanche. It's not easy, but you can avoid an avalanche completely if you get out of the way fast enough. As you see the avalanche coming, drop all of your snow gear and start running to the side. Even if you get swept away, rescue crews might see your abandoned snow gear and know that you are close. Also, sometimes an avalanche will start directly beneath your feet, and you can literally jump over it. Running to the sides or jumping over an avalanche requires split-second reflexes to pull off, but it's been done before. If you can't get out of the way in time, then you need to do everything you can to stay on the top of the snow. Once you are even more than 1 foot under the snow, getting out is next to impossible. Grabbing onto a tree or a large rock is a good way to stay near the surface. If there's nothing to grab onto, or the rushing snow forces you to let go, then you literally need to start swimming. You must kick your feet and swim towards the surface if you want any chance at living. Doing the backstroke is the best option, because you are more likely to break through the surface with your face sticking up, which means you'll be able to breathe. The worst thing would be to emerge from the snow face down and suffocate when you are so close. Oh, and one more thing. Don't try to swim downhill, because you are more likely to burrow deeper towards your demise. Always try to swim uphill instead, where you are more likely to break through the surface. If you get buried in the snow past your head, there's only one thing you can do, and this is very important. But before we get to that, my name is Chills, and I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you've ever been curious as to what I look like in real life, then follow me on Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT with underscores instead of spaces. I also have a Twitter at YT_chills where I post video updates. I'd really appreciate it if you followed me, and feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions. Also, I recently created a subreddit where you can submit videos and stories for future lists. It's r/chills narrator, and the link is in the description below. If you'd like to see more of these videos in the future, then hit that subscribe button, because I upload a new video every Thursday. If English isn't the only language you speak and you're interested in getting a shout out, click more, then add translations. By translating the video, not only will more people be able to watch it, but a link to your channel will be added in the description. Now back to what to do if you're buried past your head. Then you need to start punching straight up into the snow like crazy. Kind of like how I said to kick the casket earlier. You only have a few seconds to create an airway before the snow sets in around you like cement. Try and get your hand above the surface so that other people can see you later. If you know that you can't punch your way to the surface in time, then you need to prepare to be buried alive. You should quickly punch a little pocket around your face so that you'll have air to breathe. Take a deep breath before the snow settles, and hold it for as long as you can before exhaling. This will make sure that the snow settles when your chest is expanded, giving you more room to breathe. Otherwise, you may not have enough breathing room in the upcoming hours or days ahead. A lot of times an avalanche will toss you around so badly that by the time it's over, you can't tell which way is up or down. If you get disoriented and you aren't sure if you're upside down, then let a little bit of spit dribble off your lip and see which way gravity takes it. If it goes up instead of down, then you are facing the wrong way. Much like a casket, you need to conserve your air as much as possible. This means not panicking or crying. In fact, don't make a sound unless you hear people near you. Even then, they probably won't be able to hear your muffled shouting beneath all of that snow. Hopefully, they will see your gear or hands sticking above the surface. If not, then they could stop right over you without knowing. All of the people on this list claim to have seen their toys behaving in ways that the manufacturer never intended. Whether it's a technical malfunction or spiritual activity is up for you to decide. Here is the evidence exactly as they've presented it.